Yo, what's going on guys? Jivan back with another video, and today I'm going to be breaking down every little thing that's new in Fortnite and talk about what the new meta is and how it's going to affect competitive. On top of that, you'll be seeing my first wins in the new season in pubs where you cannot build and in arena. Before we hop into it, please consider using code JivanTV to buy your battle pass if I've been helping you out recently. Or at least make sure you're using somebody's code because it helps us out a ton. Without further ado, let's hop into this video. First area of the new season that we're going to be covering is the new loot pool. We do have some returning items from last season. For example, the Ranger AR, the Striker Pump, the Auto Shotgun, the Pistol, Stinger SMG, sadly. We'll make the best of it. And then lastly, the Sniper. All that stuff is still in the game, but the MK and the Spideys got taken out, which I'm pretty happy about. Additionally, we have some unvaulted items, for example, the Drum Shotgun, the Revolver, C4s, and Shockwaves, and I also heard that the Thermal Scoped AR is unvaulted, but I have not seen it yet. Now the thing is, C4s and Shockwaves are actually not going to be in Arena, but those other guns will. And then we have two brand new guns. We have the Striker Burst Rifle. This is basically an AUG. It shoots 2 bullets at a time, and it has a scope. It's actually pretty good. Definitely not as good as the MK, which is a good thing. The MK was so broken. But yeah, the Striker is definitely a good option to carry if you're looking for Storm Surge tags and Attorney, or just looking to get some far away damage dealt. And now, the item that I'm sure a lot of you guys have been hearing about, the new SMG, the Combat SMG. We thought the Stinger SMG was just absurdly broken and it couldn't get much worse than that. Well, then they brought out the Combat SMG today, and it's looking like the Combat SMG is going to be just as overpowered, if not more overpowered than the Stinger SMG. A gray one of these does 40 damage to the head. Think about that, an SMG doing 40 damage to the head while shooting super fast. If you hit every single headshot, the enemy's gonna die in like 0.5 seconds. Anyways, a few other items that were added to the game. We got cow catchers, which can be placed on the front of your car and you can basically drive through almost any build. I haven't tested out exactly how much damage it does to buildings, but I did drive it through an entire house here and it broke just right through it. So if you're in endgame and you're just driving around with one of these on your car, bro, you're gonna be able to just drive through everyone's boxes. But now here's a crazy thing. It's not just useful in that sense. You can also use this thing to break builds. I was playing Arena today and I got absolutely dogged on. To be fair, it was one of my first games, but he literally threw the cow catcher at my builds and I couldn't build anymore. I couldn't build anywhere there, so I was just a sitting duck. I also saw somebody use it in pubs as like a peek shot method. They laid it down and used it as cover, which is especially useful because there's no building in pubs right now. It's only gonna last for like a week or so, but while that week is going on, you can basically use this item as a wall, a cover. Another new thing is we actually have tanks in the game now. So from my understanding, tanks spawn in the IO territories. Basically, there's the resistance territories and the IO territories. There's a war going on the Fortnite battlefield right now. So if you memorize where all of the IO territories are, you can oftentimes find tanks over there. If you're fighting against a tank, they have crazy amounts of health, so the best way to counter them is shooting out the treads on the bottom of the tank. Just like shooting out the wheels on a car. Along with tanks being added to the game, we also have these repair torches that you can use to heal your tank up, heal cars, heal boats, and all sorts of stuff. You can find those on the ground, I'm pretty sure, but also you can find them in the old crafting boxes that used to carry nuts and bolts. When you open one of those crates, you'll either get a repair torch or you'll get a cow catcher. Earlier, I had mentioned that there are IO territories and resistance territories. There are these things called siege cannons, which are basically cannons that you can climb in and shoot projectiles at opponents, but you can also shoot yourself out of the cannon, just like way back in the day when they had cannons in the game. A new mechanical feature that was added to the game is sprinting and mantling. Basically, before we could just run, but now we can full on sprint, which moves us even faster. You can't build while you're sprinting and you can't shoot while you're sprinting, which makes it a little bit weird. I feel like we won't really see this used too much in build fights and stuff, but it could make for faster looting and better escaping from the storm, especially in endgames. Let's say we're in moving zones and you fall behind, you're out in the storm. Sprinting will give us a lot more opportunities to escape out of the moving zone. One thing that feels a little uncomfortable right now is that you have to set up a sprint button. Before, I just had auto run on, so I wouldn't need that. But now when you press the sprint button, you start sprinting. And then with mantling, you can change change the option in your settings. Either you hold the jump button to mantle over walls, or you can change the setting to be your forward button. So then all you gotta be doing is pressing forward to mantle over walls. I'm definitely curious to see if people will find other ways to use this in competitive. So now let's talk about the map changes. At a lot of different POIs around the map, there are blimps now. And on those blimps, there's a ton of stuff. It's actually insane. You can find those super chests, the IO chests, but also a lot of regular chests. You can also find IO guards on them, and the IO guards drop pretty dang good loot. Like, I was killing them and they were dropping blue pumps, heals, all sorts of stuff. So those are just located all around the map. You can actually see it on the map when you're flying in. The places that have those blimps are gonna be the places that show as undiscovered when you first load into the new season. So you can land straight on those blimps, or you can take the zip lines up. Now you can get down via the zip lines as well, or you can hit these vents that are on top of the blimps. If you hold your glider and just fly straight up over top of that, it'll shoot you up pretty high. Make sure that you fly away from the vents though, so that you can still redeploy your glider. If you get stuck up in the air while you're flying, you're oftentimes just gonna get fried out of the sky. Now on top of those blimps being added to the game, there's a few other map changes. Covert Cavern has been updated a little bit. I haven't had much time to explore it, but you can see here that it's definitely been expanded above the mountain, which is pretty sick. There's even a scanner on top there. But on top of that, there's also this new place right next to my drop spot in duos called the Fortress. Here is where you can fight the boss and get a mythic AUG. However, if you push in there as a solo, I'm not gonna lie, I tried it. It is very, very difficult because one, it's Sloan. And if you don't know Sloan, she splits into like multiple people. So then you're fighting multiple bosses at once, and there's a ton of IO guards. And on top of that, Covert Cavern is nearby, so a lot of people will just fly over and third party you. It's not impossible, but as a solo, it's a little difficult. Two small changes that will affect competitive a little bit is one, Storm Surge now hits every 10 seconds instead of every 5 seconds. So once Storm Surge activates, it'll do 25 damage to you every 10 seconds now instead of 5, which is actually gonna make a big difference. Because if you're into competitive and you've been hit by Storm Surge before, it can put you in a really bad spot. So now that it's gonna be hidden slower, it's not gonna be as big of a threat. Still a big threat, no doubt, but not quite as big. This will also make it really interesting because now Storm Surge will last a lot longer, since once Storm Surge starts hitting, it's not going to be killing people as fast, which means Storm Surge could carry very deeply into the moving zones. Another really crucial thing for competitive is that there's a lot more metal spawns around the map at certain POIs now. The IO and resistance territories have a lot of metal spawns. For example, you can farm metal up in the blimps, which will be a very safe way to farm metal because you'll be able to hear when people are ziplining up to you. Before, we'd be farming on top of gas stations and it was always really sketchy, but now we have a safe place to do that. And then another change they made is with first shot accuracy. This is when you're aiming down the sights with, say, a ranger. If you watch the crosshairs will get smaller the longer you're aimed in. This is what's called first shot accuracy. It makes it very accurate on that first shot before the bloom starts happening. In the patch notes, it says weapons with first shot accuracy will now reach that state more smoothly, resulting in more near perfect spread accuracy moments. Which I think means that the Ranger and all other guns that act like a Ranger got buffed. So that might make it so that the Ranger is the new best AR. I definitely recommend trying it out. Now speaking of that, let's talk about potential best loadouts. It seems pretty clear to me that the best loadouts are going to be pump with an SMG, it could be either one, and then either 3 sets of heals, a harpoon with 2 sets of heals, carrying the cowcatcher for offensive plays also could be an option, or carrying pump, SMG, AR with 2 sets of heals. Those seem to be the clear options for loadouts. I think for me personally, in a solo tournament, I would carry pump, SMG with 2 sets of heals, and then a harpoon. Now that Spideys aren't in the game, harpoons are going to be very, very valuable. Anybody that carries one is going to be able to scoop loot from far away, getting free refreshes, but they'll also be able to use a harpoon in many other ways. For example, breaking through builds. With all that being said, it seems like we're in another spray meta here this season. We're just going to have to adapt if we want to see success and enjoy the season. I'll try to get fighting videos, mechanical videos, all sorts of stuff out for you guys in these upcoming weeks. So if you're not already subscribed, be sure to hit that button so you can stay up to date. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and please consider using code JivanTV when buying the Battle Pass. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.